what's happening, people? It's the Solar Kid. We're back with another podcast, The Other Side of the Sun, and it is my pleasure to introduce man like Jonzi D in the building today. What's going on, bro?
What are you saying, man? A real pleasure to be here for sure, man. No doubt.
Bap, bap. Bro, honestly, I'm so happy to have you on, man. Like, for those viewers who don't know, Jonzi is a man with many hats. I mean, like, bro, I can reel off the list of things. I mean, MC, dancer, spoken word artist, director, founder of Breaking Convention, and the list goes on and on and on and on, bro. Man is just big in the game.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's interesting how you described it, because in a funny way, for me, it's just one journey, yeah? And it's about creating interesting things with hip hop, you know what I mean? Using hip hop as my structure, do you know what I mean? And then just exploring what you can do with it in different ways, you know what I mean? So in a way, yes, there's loads of hats that I have, but the clarity is that it's just one intention, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So tell me, I mean, let's start with that, man. Let's start like what so I mean, I'm not sure if you've been watching the podcast and that, but like, you know, all the hats and everything is cool, but I want to get to know Jonzi, you know what I'm saying? I want to know you as an individual, as a person. So like, I mean, what was it like growing up in London, man? Like, what were you like as a kid? Like, what led you to your path? What was things like over here back then? And like, what were you like?
Okay. I feel like I am a mirror of my family. Yeah. I'm the last of 6 kids.
Jeez.
Grown up. Yeah, exactly. Growing up in a family with Grenadian parents, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Who came into the country, you know, with that big wave of Caribbeans coming to England around the 50s. So I'm the last of 6 kids born and raised in England throughout the 70s. And I was very aware of being in a working class environment. In this particular road where I grew up, Roundton Road in Bow. Next door to me, yeah, you know them. Yeah,
that's
original Bow E3, E3AF. But yeah, man. Next door to me was a Mauritian family. Next door, the other side was a white family. Above me was an Irish family. Over there was a Jamaican family. Just there was an Indian family. So my reality growing up was that the world was made up of all of these different people, yeah? And trust me, we argued. It wasn't like it was just all like, you know, peace and love, do you know what I mean? And we argued with everyone, do you know what I mean? It wasn't even like there was any racial kind of partnering, do you know what I mean? You know, that Jamaican family, they were dickheads, just like that Irish family over there, do you know what I mean? So, I don't know, I just grew up in an environment where, I don't know, race wasn't as explicitly defined as a child growing up. It wasn't explicitly defined, do you know what I mean? I had a very good white friend that I grew up really closely to. I had loads of Caribbean friends. Apparently, the primary school that I went to, apparently it was known for having loads of black kids in that school. But I don't remember it being like that. I just remember it just seeing loads of people that I related to, you know what I mean? One thing I would say is that being in school, there was one black kind of superior. I won't say a teacher, because he wasn't a teacher. He was someone that connected with us in the after school sessions, yeah? But it was a black man. And he used to have a red, gold and green kind of, not a tam, but like a close fitting knitted hat. And he wore a long black coat. And what he would do every now and again is he would bring some of the black kids to the side and just school us about the world outside. Do you know what I mean? And I remember me and a brethren of mine called Mikey Super, I want to talk a little bit about next. We talked a lot about how important his role was, yeah? Because other than that, all of the other leaders were white people and Asian, actually, as in South Asian, Southeast Asian, you know what I mean? And I just remember thinking that maybe we were not special, do you know what I mean? Or maybe we weren't able to reach these levels, do you know what I mean? But this man, his name was Mr. Bridgman, his name was. But yeah, he used to just school us on stuff and he empowered us, do you know what I mean? And he made me realize that I could be in a leadership position from a very young age.
Dope. That's sick, man. So then how did you find your way to
It's all right, man. Sorry, dude. People calling me and stuff. I'm doing this on my phone. But it's all right, I got rid of it. It's cool.
No, that's cool. What would you say is your main discipline then? I mean, like you're a dancer, obviously b-boy, actor, you know, MC. What would anyone take more precedence over the other, or like?
Yeah, I'd say it's interesting. I come from a generation of hip hop where we felt like we had to do every pillar. Do you know what I mean? So I'm talking like, you know, 1982, 83, them kind of times where we saw this culture come from New York via the TV, and people up and down the country. The next day we went into school, we were like, did you see that on TV? Yeah, they were doing this kind of thing. And we just tried to copy it, you know what I mean? And we saw that it was connected with graffiti, DJing, you know, MCing, you know what I mean? So we almost got the culture fully packaged. So yeah, so basically I felt that it was part of our right to be part of hip hop culture by embracing all of these pillars, you know what I mean? So at the time, I would have just said I'm a hip hopper, you know what I mean? And I kind of do think that the most important aspect of my cultural form and creativity is hip hop, I think, you know what I mean? Nonetheless, B-boys will say Jonzi cannot break to save his life. You know what? Let me just get this cool. Basically just needed me, but I just said, nah, man, I'm right in the middle of this amazing podcast where I'm going to get deep. So yeah, so they understand. So it's all good. What was I saying?
Jonzi D can't b-boy for shit.
Damn, I said some shit that made you laugh. What was it?
Jonzi D can't b-boy for shit.
Do you remember?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Maybe if you turn off your mic as well. Turn on your mic.
Yeah, it's on. Can you hear me? No. Can you hear me?
Damn. Shit. Something's happened. Hold on.
I was saying Jonzi D can't b-boy for shit. That's what you
I can't b-boy. Yeah, the b-boys, they gunned me for that thing, you know what I mean? And to be fair, you know, my breaking is very basic, you know what I mean? But I managed to get the windmill and the head spin. This is around 84. By 85, there was no one breaking. Yeah. By 85, there was this idea that hip hop was a fad. You know what I mean? And the whole of it was a fad, but actually it was the rap part of it that got promoted and pushed, and mainly because you could sell it. You could sell these recordable units, but how do you sell breaking? You know what I mean? So yeah, I just think that was part of the reason why it kind of faded out in England. But I know man like Storm in Germany, they carried on with the thing, do you know what I mean? And in UK actually, Second to None, who are based in Bournemouth, them mans, they carried on with the thing, do you know what I mean? So, you know, I do think that it come back eventually around, I'd say, the early 90s, where, you know, particularly in Germany, they had Battle of the Year. and stuff that just proper blew up, and it become a global phenomenon. And this is where we are now with breaking. Actually, we're at the Olympics now. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, breaking was always gonna remain central to hip hop culture, and it is for me. Do you know what I mean? Because music for me, I feel like it's been so manipulated. Do you know what I mean? As in what we hear mostly via the radio stations, which, as we know, there's all playlists and stuff. So, you know, I do think that breaking is a really crucial and important part of the culture that I never mastered. But the rap side of this thing is a very different story. Yeah. I focused on my MC skills, partly because the breaking kind of went out of fashion, so to speak. But the MC thing stayed with me. I was rolling with a sound system called Perfection Sound System, where we play reggae music as well as soul. But I would jump on the mic and just talk shit, you know what I mean? Just hype up the place. A brethren of, huh?
Toasting.
Yeah, little toasting and that, you know what I mean? But with my little Cockney twang. Greatly influenced by Cockney Translator, by Smiley Culture, rest in peace. Yeah, Smiley Culture was murdered by them police then, do you know what I mean? But obviously they don't want to say that. But and Tipper Irie, they were like people that really meant a lot to the development of my style, you know what I mean? But Mikey Super is someone who I grew up with. You know, he was my best friend growing up, you know what I mean? But my man's style, for me, he's still the sickest MC that I have worked with, you know what I mean? The best MC that you've never heard is Mikey Super, you know what I mean? But yeah, so we sharpened our swords, you know what I mean? Like we worked a lot together. And then I connected with MC Mello. And I think that's when things really shifted, you know what I mean? Because beforehand, we were just in Bow doing our thing, not really even thinking about the idea of...
When was this? Like, what year was this? Like,
this is like 88, 89. 88, 89. But I remember what happened is a guy called Thad. He's a record. He's in the industry in some capacity. He doesn't make beats, but I think he was a PR dude or something. But anyway, he gave a tape of me rapping to Sparky Ski. Sparky Ski is a classic producer in the UK that did a lot of the original hip hop stuff. He worked with London Posse, MC Mello, part of a crew called Debt Incorporated. But anyway, he made some beautiful rhythms for me. Hang on. He made some beautiful rhythms back in the day. But anyway, sorry, I lost. You know what it is? I keep getting these flipping alerts on my flipping iPhone, and it's just putting me off a little bit. Sorry about that.
Man's in demand, bro.
Yeah. Anyway,
what was the scene like back then? Was there any exposure? Like, was anyone making any money off it, or was it just like the love, you know?
Yeah, it was the love. I mean, you had MCs like Silver Bullet. We had that tune, 20 Seconds to Comply, like working off the whole Robocop thing. But you know, he was nice with it. You had London Posse, you know what I mean? You can't even, you if you know your history, then you understand that London Posse are really important when it comes to using our accent within the music. Not that they were the first, but I personally think that they were the ones to make it flow the nicest, you know what I mean? And since then, I think obviously enough UK MCs have come out and do their thing. But
I was gonna ask you about that.
Sorry?
I was gonna actually ask you that, because I've had quite a few sort of like hip hop heads, and you've seen I've had Emil YX, also one of the stalwarts of hip hop and breaking in South Africa.
Black Noise,
big up, you know, bap South Africa. And one of the things that, like, I asked a lot of guys is about the American accent thing, you know. And I remember when I spoke to Ty as well. I did an interview with Ty, like, you know, rest in peace as well, like a couple of years ago. And we were talking about this thing, and he said not everybody was rapping with American accents in the UK. There were a few people, you know what I mean? And like, I mean, how do you feel about it? Because it's quite accepted nowadays. I mean, like, people all over the world talk with American accents. Even like you go Sweden and Germany now, or Malaysia, and they sound American. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah, I don't
I
know how
think
you felt.
it's your version of English, yeah. So it doesn't surprise me that around the world where English is not your first language, that you'll speak it in an American accent because of TV
Yeah, well,
and rap
that's
music.
what South Africa was like. I mean, you know.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it makes complete sense. You know what I mean? What really shocked me was when I went to Jamaica and I heard American accents in the Jamaican language. I thought that's probably one of the richest accents in for all time. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? The Jamaican, you know. But to
the
hear
most
that,
discernible. You know, everyone like tries. Yo, man. You know, everybody tries to do a
you
Jamaican.
understand? You understand
Yeah,
what
you
I'm saying?
get
You
me.
understand?
I mean, no, you get that's UK.
But you know, I do think that the American influence on language is probably the greatest influence on the English language at the moment. You know what I mean? But what I would say is, I always struggled with the fact that a lot of people who chat with reggae toast, yeah, there's an automatic thing that you have to do that with a Jamaican accent, no matter where you're from, yeah, be it South Africa, you know what I'm talking about, yeah, be it Japan, be it Germany, definitely in England, that you've got to sing Jamaican with sing reggae with a Jamaican accent or chat with a Jamaican. But when it comes to rap,
I loved it.
yeah, but why is it that when it comes to rap, there's this politics about no, you're not allowed to do it in an American accent.
Yeah,
So there is that angle as well that I feel, you know what I mean? And even singing, people sing with an American accent, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the few people, there's a woman by the name of Wanda Sankara. She's living in Grenada now, but she's from London, right? She sings with her natural Cockney accent, dropping her H's, you know what I mean? And for me, I think it's beautiful because that's her. Do you know what I mean? And there's one of them pop stars do that as well.
That's what I was saying. I was saying to some people, like, because I don't know if it was, we were talking about South African accents, because like even in South Africa when they sing, like we'll say can't, you know, so no one's gonna say I can't, you know, they'll be like, you know, I can't live, you know. Or if it's English, it'll be like, I can't live without you. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but we got to embrace that though, man. You know what I mean?
We do. We need to train our ears, man. Like, you know,
like London Posse. As I said beforehand, people were rhyming in a Cockney accent, but they didn't make it flow. But them mans made it flow. So for me, it's about how do you make your language flow on a rhythm. You know what I mean? Simple things.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what grime is doing right now. Do you know what I mean? That's a UK accent. You get me? And the UK accent also, it's not, the UK accent isn't pure by any means anyway. Do you know what I mean? You can hear influences of Jamaican. I even hear like Greek. Do you know what I mean? As well as American, as well as Cockney. Do you know what I mean? And we've got this kind of mix match of all of these languages. But I do think that the root of it, the Jamaican root, is very strong.
Very present. I mean? Yeah. I mean, you've got all these, everyone is like, it definitely sounds like Jamaican based to me, man. I'd say. But I think that's why I like the rise of this new UK sound, because it's like children of the diaspora you know, whether it be Jamaica, well, I mean, African diaspora, Jamaican, whatever, all growing up in London now and developing this sound that is unique to London. Do you know what I mean? And it's starting to spread all over the world. You know, I mean, obviously it's got African influence, it's got Jamaican influence, it's got everywhere. And I mean, I'm loving it right now, man. It's sounding. I mean, I'm enjoying.
You know, on a political level, what I'm seeing in society is a lot of polarization. Do you know what I mean? A lot of black against white, man against woman, gay against straight, Muslim against Christian. And actually, what we're talking about now is the power of hip hop and its ability for everything to come together. Do you know what I mean? And we welcome the fact that we are like mosaics of language and culture and race and color of skin. Do you know what I mean? And for me, I think that that's the obvious secret. You know what I mean? The polarization doesn't help us, you know?
No. And I mean, hip hop is built on like sampling, where it, like even Bambata and those guys were taking some mad techno records and punk records and, you know, blending it all and making it hip hop, you know, and that's what hip hop is. You know, like you say, I like the word mosaic because it describes it like really well, you know?
Yeah. And you know, I think we are the alternative to globalization. You know what I mean? We are, you know, I'm hoping that we are gonna usurp all of these elite people that want to keep us separated and apart, and particularly right now, how, you know, draconian rules are being obviously implemented within this guise of a pandemic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro. It's deep.
And I hope that what we as hip hoppers can do is maintain our values when it comes to peace, love, unity, having fun. You know what I mean? And getting together and staying connected. You know what I mean? And not allowing polarization to define us.
No, I think people are definitely much wiser. I mean, and people are definitely coming together. But I just want to go into like we obviously connected with South Africa. You spent a lot of time out there. Tell me about that, man. Like, I mean, you were there back in the day. You know, I mean, I think you spent a good couple of years there as well, man. Like, tell me about that experience and your perception of the country and everything. And
so let's go to the roots of this thing. I was staying in a place in Old Street called G Street, actually. And it was a big warehouse, and there was a woman that lived opposite me from LA called Kefri Riley. And she just came back from South Africa after the ANC. She went out there about a year or two after the ANC got into power. Nelson Mandela was up in the place, do you know what I mean?
That's 94, yeah? 94.
94. Yeah, so I think she went out there in 95. And she come back, she was like, Jonzi, you've got to go. It's the place to be, yada, yada, yada. So I started putting the word out, thinking, yeah, I want to do this. I ended up connecting with a couple people that gave me connections. One of them was Emil in Cape Town. But the first one was in Joburg, where I was doing a project called Step Africa, which involved a few groups from Holland, US, UK, all converging into the Ipelaheng Center in Soweto to do this dance course. But anyway, when I arrived, before I left, I connected with Mpo Skeef, a singer who's based in the UK. Her dad's name is Eugene Skeef. He's a musician. Okay. But anyway, she said, oh, you get to South Africa? I said, yeah. But I'm not sure, where I'm staying and stuff. I haven't sorted out all that. No worries, Jonzi, I've got it for you. You need to stay in this place. And she gave me this little map of Yeovil, where I have to stay in this place. And she gave me this little arrows and said, you've got to walk down this Cavendish Street and then go down to Rocky Street. And then you need to go here and you need to go to a place called the Seal of Ujamaa. Yeah. And when you go to the Seal of Ujamaa, you will see Ishmael.
Yeah.
Now, I saw them guys about in 94, I think, or was it maybe 95, when Prophets at the City, they came to London. And I knew this journalist who said, yeah, you got to connect with these man. So I connected with Shaheen, Ramwan, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
because they just killed it in London. I just thought to myself, nah, that's hip hop is alive and kicking there. So that's where I need to go. So anyway, I ended up taking this little route down to Rockies, to the Silo Jama. And I was told that I need to be really careful. This is the first time that I've actually been out on the street on my own in South Africa. Prior to that, it was like the taxi dropped me off at the spot where I was staying, you know what I mean? So just before I left, the woman was like, you know, you need to be really careful out there. You know, it's very dangerous, you know, and you from overseas, blah, 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 blah. So I walk out there. So I got my back up, you know what I mean? You know?
East London vibes.
Yeah. And as I'm walking, I'm seeing man's looking at me like this. Yes, Rastafari. Yes, sharp, 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 sharp.
Sharp, sharp.
And I'm like, yeah, nice. And I'm realizing these people are me, yeah? They look like me, they dress like me, they had natty locks sticking out their head like me, do you know what I mean? And I'm thinking to myself, there's nothing to fear here. Obviously, I'm being a little bit, you know, rose-tinted specs at the time, do you know what I mean? Because we know that South Africa can be rough. But at the time, all I felt was love, yeah? I walked down, got to the Seal of Ujamaa. Guess who was there? Ishmael. And I'm thinking to myself, my man can't be living there. What are the chances of this? But he was like, Jonzi, yo! So we were there chilling for a bit. And he said, yo, I want you to meet someone who I think you're going to really connect with. This is my friend Isaac. I was like, oh, cool, man. And Isaac was like, Crooked the warmonger. Yeah. He was just like, all right. So you want to come to the radio station? I was like, okay, cool. YFM, when they were still based in Yeovil.
Yes, I've been there, bro. I was there, man.
Right, see it there? So went down there, bucked up on, what was the DJ's name? DJ.
Bad Boy T?
Go on, say that.
Bad Boy T?
No, keep going.
Did he have locks? Did he have
yes,
long
he had
locks? Rude Boy Paul?
Rude Boy, that's the name.
Yeah, he was a G, man.
Yeah. So I go up, I step up, and I spit this rhyme. Oh, damn.
I remember going on that show and freezing once, bro. I was still like a young MC myself, bro.
Dude, for some reason, I don't know. I was very confident as an MC at that time, I must say. And I would have grabbed any mic anywhere, and I did. So I spat this verse at YFM. Afterwards, Isaac was like, yo, you hanging with us. Yeah? And I could see why. He introduced me to the whole of AV, audio visuals, Snaz, the Dictator, Snaz D, Ben Sharper, you know what I mean? Who else was there? Oh, there was somebody else. But anyway, those were the core members. And yeah, the rest is history, do you know what I mean? Because I connected with these mans. We did a lot of spitting together, do you know what I mean? Loads of freestyling, my goodness, just freestyling all day. And my skill level just went up, mainly because them man's skill level was so high, yeah? I realized when I went to South Africa that hip hop was alive and kicking, you know what I mean? I ended up going to Cape Town and I was part of African Battle Cry. They changed it to Africa Indaba after a few years. When I was there, it was still Africa Battle Cry. We traveled all around the Cape Flats doing workshops. We even did Polesmore Prison. Jeez. And I still got the pictures. Yeah, man, Polesmore Prison, probably one of the roughest prisons on this earth, you know what I mean? And we was in the kids section. And there was this one kid who really got connected with me, really liked me. And he had like 3 teardrops down his eye. I think he was one of the 28s.
Yeah, it must have been 28, bro.
I mean, as you know, which is a gang. Was it 28, 27s, 28 to 29s?
26.
26, yeah. 26, 27, 28. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, them mans is rough. But I felt that what we brought was that peace, love, unity, and having fun element. You know what I mean? And that particular project with Black Noise and Emil got big them up, man up. Andre Bozak, but yeah. In Cape Town, gang violence is ridiculous out there. I mean, the Americans. What's the other name of the cruiser?
So many NTKs, Americans. There's Nice Time Kids. Those guys. There's quite a few, bro. Like, yeah.
There was one time where I was staying in retreat, yeah, and we went out for, and there was a couple other mans there with us, and all of a sudden we saw this dude drunk as hell with a switchblade in his hand, walking up, saying something in Afrikaans. And apparently he was saying, look, I don't want no trouble. I just want a light. I don't want no trouble. I just want a light. But I'm just letting you know that if there is any trouble, I'm protected. But all I need is a light. Them mans were like, hey, cool, man, cool. So he come over, got the light. They were chatting in Afrikaans. Next minute, every man starts pulling out their tools, yeah? Everybody was packed with some different type-shaped blades and stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, we're having fun and chilling and stuff, but any moment, them mans can pull their shit out and stab you to death, you know what I mean? For whatever reason, you know? But it definitely taught me something about what it means to be ghetto, you know what I mean? I thought that I grew up in the hood. But when I went to retreat, I just said, nah, there's no comparison. Nah.
Yeah,
the same way them mans couldn't come to E3 though, do you know what I mean? And start chucking it, do you know what I mean? Because, you know, everybody's hood is as rough as it can be, do you know what I mean? There was one MC that said a good line. Scarface, I can't remember, but he said something about ain't no hood is as rough as mine when you're here. Something like that, do you know what I mean?
Been Scarface. That sounds like a Scarface bar.
You know. But anyway, yeah, my South African hip hop experience, it gave me my faith back. Because at the time I was really questioning what was happening in hip hop at the time, and the gangster rap thing got really, really big. But to be in environments where there were actual gangsters and hip hop, you could see that they were related in that way. Do you know what I mean? The hip hoppers were dealing with peace, love, and the hip hoppers were able to travel to any environment because they were the hip hoppers. You know what I mean? Whereas the gangsters, they couldn't do that. Do you know what I mean? They weren't interested in hip hop. They were doing their gangster thing. Do you know what I mean? So it was nice to see that distinction, and for me to have much more confidence over the fact that I don't need to talk that shit. I don't need to prove that I'm hard. What the hell is that about? Do you know what I mean? Why should I prove that I can kill you if I need to? That's just not part of my language or my spirit, you know? So being in South Africa allowed me to be more confident about the MC and the spirit that I want to bring to hip hop culture, you know what I mean?
Yeah. How long were you out there for?
I was there every year between 97, 98 and 99 for 2 months each time, yeah? So I'd spend December and January out there, which is basically the best time to be in South Africa. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm sure I must have bumped into you somewhere, maybe a horror cafe or something, or one of those spots, man. Because I was big on the scene that time. That was like, yeah, I was finishing high school and stuff, and we were big. Like I said, I went to the, what was it called, the rap. They used to have like the freestyle rap sessions, YFM and stuff, and also I won a competition for YFM as a spoken word artist, and like they featured me on there with Rude Boy Paul and Unati, and I got to go and like spit the poem and do all that kind of stuff as well, man. So I was mad involved in, man. You must have. And then all these artists were coming over, like Talib Kweli came over the one year, Most Def, you know.
What was it called? That tour was called the Black Something Tour.
Yeah, because they shut down like Joburg Station for that tour. It was massive, bro. That was like one of the biggest events we'd ever seen, because we weren't used to having international acts come to South Africa. No one came to South Africa before that time, you know what I mean? Before like 94 and stuff. So that was big for us, bro.
And Black Thought came out there as well, am I right?
Did he? I don't know. I mean, I know Talib, he was definitely there. I remember seeing him on like at a show. I think most devs, well, Yasin Bey, he spent a lot of time out there. I know Dave Chappelle was out there. I didn't see him. I didn't even know that he was out there.
yeah.
But yeah. So like, what was your general perception like of South Africa and post apartheid, and I mean just like you obviously got to see what it was like. You saw, I mean, even at that time, even now, neighborhoods are still like separated, and you've got so-called colored people, you've got black people, you've got Indians, all like living. What was your overall like perception of them?
I'd say in relation to that, okay, so my brethren, he looks like you, yeah, he looks racially, he looks like you, and I grew up with him as a black man, yeah. The term colored was never a positive. The term colored was what white people used to say about black people.
Oh, do you know that colored fella down the road?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, I didn't want to say black. I didn't want to be offensive, like the term black is offensive, you know? Which is interesting. I'd like to talk about that a little bit within this. So I go to South Africa and I challenge one of these coloured boys in Cape Town. And I said, how are you going to call yourself coloured, man, when you're black? Isn't coloured an offensive word? What actually does it mean? He said, it's quite clear what it means. I'm not black. Look, I'm not black. I'm not part of you. It's very obvious. And basically, I understood there at that point that we are defined by our states. Yeah. Our race isn't something that comes from us. Do you know what I mean? Our race has been designed to put us in a certain position in society. That's it. Yeah. Because I questioned my blackness. I thought, wait, because I'm not actually black. I'm brown. I'm a similar color to you. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But why is it that why is it that I'm black and you're colored? Yeah. It's only because it's defined by society and whatever the rules and the separation and the polarization of society to maintain control, or to maybe put one portion of people, the white people, to have access to the best land. Yo, when I went to them white suburb areas, they got beautiful trees. Dude, they live in paradise. Yeah. Yeah, on the township, they are specifically given the worst pieces of land to live on.
Bro, that's what the Cape Flats were, man. You're on the one side of the mountain, beauty on the seafront, plush. Go on the other side of the mountain, bro. Oh my God. Then you see the flats, and you see the shit.
It's so barefaced, you know what I mean? But yeah, what I liked at first was the idea that there will be more balance and black people will have more access to this wealth, yeah? But unfortunately, there's a slither of black people that are enjoying that wealth, you know what I mean? Whereas actually, there's much more poor and poverty in South Africa now than there was during apartheid, yeah? the imbalance is
Ridiculous.
worse apparently.
Yeah, but I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, the majority of the country are in poverty, you know. I mean, if you think about the fact that like white people only make up about 6%, so-called colored people about, you know, maybe 10, you know, Indians and others, and the rest is like black, you know what I mean? And it's like the majority of people are living in squalor, bro, you know. I mean, I was speaking to my mom the other day and she was saying like, you know, the roads are not being maintained, you know, like just certain areas, like especially like places where I grew up and stuff, like they don't maintain the parks, the grass is like growing high up to the, you know, like just shit like that, bro. It's deep, man. It's deep.
And
I mean, as a whole, people are good, right? People are friendly. It's a lovely country.
people are mad friendly, lovely country, the most beautiful women on earth. You know what I mean? Not gonna front, not gonna lie. So much so,
Well,
I had
you
to
married
marry
one.
one. I had to marry one. I said, no, it's not fair that all of the best women on earth are in one country. That's not fair.
I'll take you one.
I'll take you one home. You know what I mean? No, but on the real, you know, there's a lot more women to men ratio in South Africa than there is in England, I understand.
You think?
Apparently there's some weird ratio where like there's like, I don't know, you might want to look at them. I don't even want to say what the statistics are, but
Yeah,
I heard
look that up.
ridiculous. Like, it's not half by any means.
I'll have to look that up, man.
Yeah.
Just moving on from South Africa, bro. You were supposed to be awarded an MBE, Member of the British Empire. And man said, bun that. Why going for that?
Bun that! Yeah.
Look.
Okay.
Tell me about that, man.
So the letter come through the door, opened it. Yes, we want to award you for MBE for services to dance. So this is as a result of doing breaking convention. I've been doing it for about 7 years by then. This was offered to me in 2011, and it was around the time of the big youth uprising, I called it. You know what I mean? After the police murdered my man in Tottenham.
Yeah, I remember that very clearly.
Yeah. And for me, I just felt that it might have been connected a little bit because of the profile that I have. And from time, I've always said that I would never accept an award that says Member of the British Empire. Do you know what I mean? I'm humbled by the application that the dance community and you know, top figures in the dance community did to support the application for me to get one. Do you know what I mean? So enough love and respect to them, you know. But really and truly, the work that I make, surely maybe you would have seen a clue that maybe Jonzi might not really value this. Do you know what I mean? I've literally did poems straight dissing the Queen. Do you know what I mean? Straight dissing the Queen, dissing the monarchy, you know? And then all of a sudden now you want to give me this thing? And nah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it would have been a bit weird, bro. It would have been a bit, you know, questionable, you know.
But the thing is, there was a sign on the paper. It said, on the letter, it said, you know, multi-purpose answers. First one, will you accept the award? Tick no. Yes or no? Tick no. Secondly, will you do so publicly? Yes or no? I tick no.
Okay.
Because I was worried about having to defend my spot on TV. I wasn't confident. You know what I mean? I didn't want some old colonial, you know, Asian, you know, dude come dissing.
Yeah, maybe an interview with Piers Morgan.
Well, this is the thing. I don't know what compelled me to decide to go and do that, because obviously it's many years afterwards, so I developed the confidence. But what my point is that I ended up doing a piece of theatre about it called The Letter to Be or to MBE. And this was my way of presenting the information. Do you know what I mean? So I created this solo where I played 6 different people that were speaking to me about my potential decision. So let's say I received the letter, and then I just spoke to all of these people, and they all had different views on whether I should take them or not. Most of them felt that I should take it, but just one character said that I shouldn't. And it was about presenting all of these arguments for and against. But for me, it's just so obvious. You know what I mean? I'm not
Like,
gonna.
what are the benefits of actually? I mean, it's just a title basically? Do you get?
It's just a title. You don't get no money, dude. If they gave money, I'd have taken that. Yeah, I'd have taken the money and then dissed the award afterwards. You know what I mean? I'd have been. These are repatriation rates right now. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, basically, I just made this piece, and I liked the piece. I ended up doing it in Edinburgh Festival for ages. I also toured it around the UK. I performed it in Washington DC actually, at the what's the name of that venue? The JFK Center of the Arts. Also, where else I did? I did it in Brazil as well, in Sao Paulo. And it's a real fun piece to perform because I guess it's literally me speaking to myself.
No, I mean, I saw your TED talk that you did, and like you did like a little like segment from the play, man, and that was deep. I was like gun fingers all the way, bro. I was like, I was like, jeez, man, like Jonzi D, bro. Yeah, man, sticking it to them straight up, bro. For real, man. That's deep, and I like it. So tell me just a little bit about breaking convention, man. Obviously, it's become like a massive thing in the UK and around the world, and it's your main thing, well, that you do. Yeah, how did it start? How did it develop? What's the future?
So it started with my disillusionment with hip hop and my disillusionment with contemporary dance. Because while I was rapping, I was also studying contemporary dance, classical ballet. I was wearing lycra during the day. Yeah. And in the evening, wearing my baggy stuff and hanging out with rappers. And none of them MCs knew what I was doing during the day. Yeah. This is when I was hanging out with Sparky Ski and MC Mello and them mans. These are like proper rappers, you know what I mean? Whereas the MCs I was working with in Bow, they was my family. Do you know what I mean? And my family knew what I was doing or whatever. I didn't have to explain that to them. But so I hid this for ages. Anyway, so after I'd started to get a bit disillusioned with rap and seeing how the record industry failed MC Mello, yeah, it made me think, I don't know if I want to do this. Yeah. I also saw the gangster rap thing getting big, and I thought, nah, this is not me. This doesn't speak to my soul, you know? And then in the contemporary dance world, I felt like I was the black guy, yeah? Because there wasn't that many black people doing contemporary dance at the time. There was a lot more white people, a lot more white choreographers and stuff. And I didn't want to just be in this dance company and be a crane, just lifting white people everywhere. Do you know what I mean? Which is the position that I've seen at some black dancers. Like, for example, there's a beautiful dancer called Namron. He was one of the original members of the London Contemporary Dance Company in the 60s. And he was such a powerful dancer, but so much of the time he's just there lifting. Anyway, I just thought I didn't want to do that. So I had this little bing moment of bringing them together. How can we bring contemporary theatre and hip hop? You know what I mean? So the narrative of hip hop, the politics of hip hop, but with the structure of contemporary theatre. You know what I mean? And some of the choreographic processes of contemporary theatre. How can I bring them together? So I did that, and I made a show called Lyrical Theatre, which involved a solo called Aeroplane Man, a duet called, what was it called? Guilty. Was it Guilty? Yeah, Guilty. But it was a duet between myself and a b-boy called Banksy, a white guy who played a policeman. So no, not the graffiti
I was just
artist
gonna
Banksy.
say, is that the Banksy?
No. This is the Banksy, and he's a b-boy. And anybody who knows the history of hip hop in this country knows his history. It runs deep, you know what I mean? Way before Banksy the graffiti artist, I have to say. Anyway, so I made this show, Lyrical Theatre. It was spelt with a K, lyrical, and theatre was spelled F-E-A-R-T-A. And I performed it in Old Street in a space, not Old Street. What was the name of that venue in South London? Oval House Theatre. And then I performed it afterwards at the London Contemporary Dance Space called The Place. Sold out, as in it was completely packed out. There were queues going around the corner because people heard about this new show, this new idea, which I called hip hop theatre. You know what I mean? I toured that up and down the country. I toured it in New York at the New York Hip Hop Theatre Festival, all around Europe. I met some amazing dancers at these festivals, particularly one in Holland called Breaking Walls. And I just saw a whole bunch of other artists exploring hip hop dance in the theatre. Whereas in England, I was the only one that was doing it at the time. So I thought, no, we have to change the game. So I connected with a guy called Alistair Spalding, who was based at Queen Elizabeth Hall. And I said to him, dude, we need to do we need to do a hip hop dance theatre festival, because I'm not the only person that's doing this. There's a load of people doing it. So when he got the job as chief executive and artistic director at Sadler's Wells, he called me within his first year and said, Jonzi, do you want to try this festival? Boom, that was it. 2004 was our first festival. We sold out the whole building. We had artists from Korea, Canada, the USA, Europe. We had loads of youth groups from the UK. And basically, yeah, we just killed it. The broadsheets, 5-star reviews all along. And to be honest with you, we've done better festivals since. But I think because it was the first one, it was just a shock to the artistic establishment that a place like Sadler's Wells will have these hip hop guys running around a place. We graphed up the whole interior of the building. From when you walk in, we had graffiti workshops, we had graffiti everywhere, we had DJs, the Enforcers, DJ Pogo, Cutmaster Swift spinning on the mezzanine. They'd never seen anything like it. And the audience too, that was definitely our blackest audience, you know what I mean? I suspect that the traditional Sadler's Wells audience were like, no, we're not going there. But the regular heads, they were just like, damn, they just looked at the lineup and said, no, we cannot miss this. So that first event sold out, and the word got out, and I think that the Sadler's Wells audience, they were like, oh my goodness, there's something that we can bring the kids to. Sorry. But yeah, we sold out ever since. We're in our 19th year this year. Obviously last year didn't happen. But this year it's going to happen. July the 1st to the 4th of 2021. And I guess we're hoping that the whole COVID bollocks would have just eased up a little bit and we're allowed to come out and live life a bit more normally. Do you know what I mean?
No, I hear that, man. I hear that. But I mean, hip hop breaking convention is a pretty big thing, bro. And I remember quite a few years ago when Mass got involved, like that was my first, introduction, because I was working with him at the time, and I was like, yo, this is dope, hip hop theater, like. And then I'm sure it sparked loads of different, because I went to see a few other, and I mean, there's like the Akala's initiative, Hip Hop Shakespeare Theater Company, and then there was a few other, what was it? was it Love and Hip Hop, or there was a show that I seen a couple of years ago, one of the best hip hop shows as well. That was with dance and stuff as well, but not at Sadler's. And I mean, I big up Sadler's. They bring loads of like really cool theater to the country. You know what I mean? Just sort of like closing up or wrapping up, man. Like, do you feel that? I mean, you like recognized as one of the stalwarts in UK hip hop, and do you feel like it's necessary to be, how can I say it? Like something I raised with Emil as well. Like, you know, in South Africa, a lot of people don't even know that in '82, their man were b-boying in SA. You know what I mean? And like, same for you guys. You guys were out here like doing your thing. And how important do you think the history of that needs to be like embedded within the culture and in society? And is it that way, or am I missing a trick, or do I not know about something? Do you know what I mean? Like do kids know about it? Are they being reminded?
Well, I think that every other culture, when it comes to the history of that form, be it classical music, be it classical Indian music, or whatever it is, they observe and respect and enshrine their histories, and they write their histories down, and they protect their histories. You know what I mean? Somehow I feel that when it comes to Black culture, that there's a sense of disposableness about it. Do you know what I mean? Oh, that's been done now. Let's move on. Let's forget about that. Let's do this new thing now. Do you know what I mean? Without acknowledging the shoulders on which these new forms are standing upon. You know what I mean? So for me, I think it's really important that we acknowledge these histories, that anybody that considers themselves a true spitter, you should know in this country, you should know about groups like London Posse, MC Mello. Do you know what I mean? You should just know. Do you know what I mean? Whether you like them or not, that's not what the issue is. You should know that that happened and when that happened. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's only going to benefit you. There's nothing that's going to take away from what you do by having this knowledge. It's only going to add. The same goes for every aspect of the culture, for graph, DJing, everything. DJing in particular needs a lot of help now. Yeah, because the new technology has really changed and made way too easy the access to the craft of DJing.
Now you have selectors. You don't have DJs, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I learned to mix on turntables. You know, where you had to actually like figure out what the tempo was and match the beats. Now you just press a button, does it for you. It's just, I call them selectors. You know what I mean? And there are good selectors out there, but DJing, it's a lost art, man.
I mean, you know, obviously there are people that are practicing it still, and long may that continue. Do you know what I mean? Those people that are holding on to just the basic roots of this thing. Do you know what I mean?
What was it? You know, Jazz T? Yeah, I mean, I've seen him do stuff like at
Park Jam.
Yeah, and in Brixton as well. What's that place that the guys always go to, man? Brixton Cafe. Oh,
Mass.
No.
Oh, the chip shop.
Yeah, the chip shop. Yeah, at the chip shop. Yeah. I mean, they're still holding it down over there and stuff. And guys like End of the Week and stuff, they still like honoring like the pillars of hip hop. You know what I mean?
Yes. Big shout out to DJ Shorty. You know what I mean? Who's one of them newer generation DJs that are really holding it down for the culture. You know
yeah, I spoke to him a few times as well. That's a chip shop. He's a G, man. Sick. Scratching and mixing.
Yeah.
So you remember guys from South Africa, Reddy D, he's still doing his thing.
Of course, Reddy D, nice with it. I did. He interviewed me on his show. He's got some show that mixes cars with hip hop. What was it called?
Mzansi Rides or something like that.
Mzansi Rides. There you go.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna reach out to him to see if he's got a copy of that thing, man, because that's 20 years old now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want to see if I really do have wrinkles.
Nah, black don't crack, bro.
I'm saying, dude. I'm saying.
But yo, man, just in closing, bro, Jonzi, is there any like final words you want to leave or anything you want to say before I wrap things up? Or
I just want to say that, you know, it's not all about. Okay, right now we're entering a world which is going to change drastically. It already has changed drastically, you know what I mean? And one of the beautiful things about hip hop is that it adjusts to whatever the space is, you know what I mean? I encourage people to really bring original hip hop values with us as we enter this new world of conflict, of polarization, of being poor. There's enough people that ain't gonna have money for the next 10 years. Enough people have lost their work. Enough small businesses are destroyed, you know what I mean? And I think that hip hop is one of the best cultures to deal with these type of crises in society, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I think.
Yes, man, bro. I'll put all the links to Breaking Convention and stuff in the description when it comes up. But honestly, it's been a pleasure having you, bro. Much love and respect. Big up, everybody. It's been the Other Side of the Sun podcast. That's Jonzi D. I'm the Solar Kid, and we out. Peace.
Peace.